Now, moving towards our last session for today, I see you guys sighing. The intersection of legal tech, AI, and blockchain, exploring the potential of emerging technologies in litigation. Uh, Please join me in welcoming our moderator, Kishore Jaichandani, Managing Director at Caveat Capital UAE, along with our panelists, Joseph Moghrabi, founder of Moghrabi ADR UK, Robert Whitehead, partner and head of DIFC at Hamdan, Al Shamsi Lawyers and Legal Consultants UAE, Daniel Feetham, practice head at Madison Legal Limited UK, Mahesh Jethani, partner at Lex Legis Solutions Private Limited India.
Yeah, it's working. We don't have the other gentleman, Mr. Daniel Feetham. The other gentleman, Daniel Feetham. It's okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have a last session, but we will try to make it more interactive and more interesting. The subject itself is interesting. That we're going to talk about intersection of legal tech, AI, and blockchain, and we talk about emerging technologies into litigation and arbitration. So we have excellent panel members with us who are going to speak of all their expertise into their relevant areas. Okay, so let me tell you the agenda. We're going to wrap up quickly. Yeah. I'm going to introduce them, and after that, we're going to talk about the key emerging technologies into the litigation. And there are a variety of technologies, and we will count them and we'll talk about them one by one. Then we talk about challenges and ethical consideration using the technologies, and what are the benefits, what are the drawbacks, how they can overcome those. What are the case studies, if the panel members would like to share their experience, their case studies. And we're going to talk about that future trends into the litigation and arbitration. Then we talk about, lastly, actionable insights about the practitioners, and then last, Q&A. So let me introduce the panel members. We have Mr. Joseph Moghrabi.
Hello.
Hi, Joseph Moghrabi is a founder of Moghrabi ADR in UK, and he's also a legal consultant in Moghrabi Consulting, where he's doing specialization into the property and contract negotiation. He's an arbitrator, and he's also a legal director in Tucer LED. Tucer LED is a leading manufacturing company who's doing into LED lighting products.
That's right.
Okay. We have Mr. Whitehead. Mr. Robert Whitehead is a partner and head of DIFC in Hamdan Al Shamsi Lawyers, and he's a SEMA World Fellow in Ghana as a fellow member. He's an arbitrator in many platforms, which includes London Court of International Arbitration, Russian Arbitration Center, and Dubai International Arbitration Center. We have Mahesh Jethani. Mahesh Jethani is a technology expert. He is a partner in LexiGesic Solution, LexiGesis. Lex Legis. Tongue twister. Sorry. He's a partner at Lex Legis Solutions in India, and he is a CEO of an HR and compliance platform called Team Nest. All right. And he's very much instrumental into developing compliance and tax and shaping the Lex Legis AI. And Lex Legis AI is the AI-based, AI-powered legal and case management platform. So with a round of applause, please welcome all the speakers. Thank you. Now I can sit. Okay, so as you said, we're going to talk about key emerging technologies. So I would like Mr. Joseph to start and talk about in general, how the legal tech and technology are taking shape, and what do you see in general, that what is it a hype, or is it really helping us, or is it really real solution, or it's a problem?
That's a very, very good question, and I don't know if I can really give an answer to such a question, because even the founders of AI, they are not sure. One was basically describing AI as a 10-year-old boy, girl,
Yeah.
and you don't know where it's going. With the, as mentioned, AGI, that's quite scary.
How do you see?
Because
let me frame this the other way around. How do you see technology you are encountered with in your profession?
well, we remember the days where we were looking for case law in libraries,
Yeah.
and then slowly but surely, little by little, there were programs, thanks to the programmers, whereby you can find case law and templates of contracts, etc., etc. Nowadays, you have the likes of Harvey, Clio, which is amazing. You can link it to your bank account, to your accountant, program platforms. There's so many that there is definitely a need to regulate and to.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. So okay, now I'll talk to Mr. Robert. Yeah. So like Robert is anyway expert in arbitration, and he's heading many arbitration platforms. So will you please add something on, like, how do you expose to the various technologies in arbitration?
Yeah, so I think the AI is obviously here. It's not going away. It's here to stay. In arbitration, obviously AI is used, but it's not as prevalent as it undoubtedly will be. I've been to many talks on this. It's recently attended a discussion by a professor in Oxford. And essentially, we see a model in China where you can essentially pick a human counsel or an artificial intelligence counsel, and also a judge can be artificial intelligence as well. So I think if we look at the model in China, there's certainly, it's certainly a brave new world, in terms of how AI might impact the legal industry. I think we've not really seen it particularly in this jurisdiction as yet, in terms of especially sort of what I'm in DIFC and ADGM. International arbitration, again, I'm arbitrator for, as my colleague said, for the ICC. I'm doing an ICC arbitration. I've done several DIAC arbitrations. And in those, it's not really sort of fully there yet, but I think it will come in. I think anything with AI, it's cost saving as well. So I think if the tribunals concede there's a scope to save costs for the parties, and it's reliable. Obviously, a key thing with AI is, well, it's got to be, in terms of arbitrations, it has to be fundamental, number one, impartiality and unbiased. So I think until that is accomplished, then I don't see it sort of going fully fledged. But I think if that is achieved, then it will flourish.
Excellent. Yeah, okay. We have Mr. Mahesh. And Mahesh, if you can shed light on what you do and what is your exposure, because you are expert on technology and platforms. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Kishore. Good evening, everyone. And I know you're all itching to get out of here. It's been a long day, but please bear with us some more time. So, I'm a tech guy. And as I walked in the door today, I was wondering, what am I doing here? Right? With sharing a room with great legal minds. But I think the topic here just speaks about it, right? It's the intersection of AI with the legal platform, and there's a lot of exciting things happening there. So, just to give you a bit of background, so for the best part of my life, I knew nothing on the legal side, laws, lawyers, until I got married. That's because my wife's a lawyer, full stop, no speculation. So a few years back, a dear friend of mine, he got in touch with me. He runs the world's largest repository of appeals based out of India. And he said, we have such great data here. And, I'm just running simple search engines on it. But with AI penetrating every domain and every sphere of the workspace, can't we do something with it? Yeah? And he bounced off ideas with various experts, including me. And that's where the idea of Lex Legis actually came out, where we said we could actually make an AI engine sit on top of it, add some intelligence, and help out lawyers,
So do you do research also, AI-based research?
No, so we don't do research. Yeah, we use existing judgments, statutes, notices, appeals.
Okay.
And then we make the engine sit on top of it to create some intelligence here. Yeah?
Okay.
And this dear friend of mine who was there as part of this journey is Mr. Sakar Yadav. If you could please stand up, Mr. Sakar Yadav. When you were on stage, you requested me to stand up. I think I should only return the favor. So yeah, that's good. How the journey has been so far.
Yeah, good. So, see, it's pretty common that we talk about these technologies and how to utilize, but there are always challenges. Okay, so have you come across any challenges so far?
So, what I say is the ethics of AI. I think
Yeah,
that's very important to talk about.
Yes.
I think a burning question in everyone's mind here is job displacement. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
So there has always been some great events in human history where if something big comes up,
yeah,
there is mass distress, there's uncertainty. To give an example, say when you brought in textile machines, right, in Great Britain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people said, we're going to lose jobs. What's going to happen? But see what actually happened. We started creating at economies of scale. Things got cheaper.
And there are new jobs on the market.
Absolutely. So people reskill themselves, right? They upskill themselves. They reskill themselves.
Yeah.
And the same thing is going to happen here. So today, while we are uncertain, we should be excited. Okay, so what's next after this? We need to adopt this with both hands. We need to reskill our people, right? So that's how it is. And I suppose that's why our legal universities have a responsibility for that, right? They need to redesign some of their coursework.
Yeah.
To make sure that young graduates who will graduate a few years from now should be ready for the new job market, right?
Yeah.
And of course, the other thing is data privacy when it comes to ethics. And I think a lot has already been spoken about it by people who are more learned than me on this field. But all I need to present here is we all use Office 365.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the cloud. We all use Zoom calls.
Yes.
Once again on the cloud.
Yeah.
And we just love our Google Sheets, right, to collaborate. That's all on the cloud.
Yeah.
So if you get your security right, there is no reason why we cannot adopt this.
True.
Yeah, that's it.
True. So, see, we have variety of technical applications available, which includes AI, machine learning, blockchain technology, where we talk about smart contract. We have e-discovery, automation tools. We have so many legal analysis. We have virtual reality, augmented reality. All this we use into all this legal era. And we have remote hearing, we have virtual proceeding, we have cyber security technology. We have issue. Okay. So all these technologies been in practice nowadays, but how do you see, I will keep this floor open to all three of you, that how do you see that which technology you have been come across, and what is more beneficial, and what any challenges you have faced?
So I think for me, again, in my area, it's not really sort of taken off entirely. There's still areas which need to be developed, they need to be accepted. I think we saw virtual hearings, as you pointed out. That was the big thing with COVID. There's obviously the pros and cons of virtual hearings. Some say that virtual hearings, they're quite limited. You don't, for like big construction cases, for example, do you get the, do you really get to the detail for the witnesses? Are you able to read the body language sort of correctly? Do you need to sort of see the whites of the eyes, that sort of thing? I think generally, as with anything in life, the older, certainly in my experience, the more experienced, hardened practitioners would opt for, again, perhaps a bit general, would probably go for your in-person hearings for big arbitration cases, as opposed to virtual ones. In my view, I think a hybrid is often a good solution, as with anything in life. I think you can probably do some of it virtually, some of it needs to be in person. So I don't think I think often humans generally, they look for like an all or nothing approach, a solution, but often there's not. It's sort of a balanced approach. And I think for certainly for arbitration, in my view, it's got to be hybrid. My concern, so just to pick up on your point, is challenges, and I've discussed with a few colleagues in work recently, is ultimately, sort of if you look sort of 10, 15 years ahead, you will probably see a situation where, as we've said in universities, whether or not they're going to teach how to find cases, whether or not they're going to teach how to go in a law library, and like what I did when I was at Durham many moons ago. And I suppose the general concern is the loss of skills. So, for example, how many people know really how to read a map now? Probably the younger generation is probably going to struggle, because we've got Google Maps, we've got Waze, all these sort of things. So ultimately, there's probably going to be a dearth in a skill set, which, whether that's a problem or not, we'll see, But that's certainly something to think about as well.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, nothing much to add, but to say that to crack the right balance in the midst of both spectrums, we don't want to be pessimistic, and definitely the young generation, their future is promising.
Yeah,
if you look at it as
ultimately
job opportunities, there are going to be jobs that we haven't heard of.
Yeah.
People in the past, and it was mentioned, we stood on shoulders of giants, whether in science and in humanities. Nothing is more superior to the other.
Yeah.
And I can mention that even sometimes the fact that now you hear about a room virtually.
Yeah.
Students can listen and see ancient civilizations and laboratories while wearing a VR. So that's an experience in itself, amazing. In medicine, for example, there's telemedicine, telehealth, where you can get treated remotely and get a prescription, buy it on the same day without going to the GP, wasting his time and your time. Nevertheless, you need the human touch. You need the first human touch. So it's a hybrid, absolutely.
Absolutely. We have technology to use, but we can't rely 100%. And we need to have a human touch, human intelligence.
The danger is obviously
and
in the wrong hands and in certain places where it's so difficult to monitor and regulate. You have NFTs, you have fraudsters who their intention is not just money making, others is just causing chaos, and that's not.
I will say, in the legal proceeding, every case is a different case, and taking help from technology, of course, it helps
case by case, and we are officers of the court.
It helps in reducing time and data accuracy. However, the perfect match of the requirement, we still need a human touch, human intelligence to review after that. Okay, so we have so many clients in US, okay, and US pretty developed in terms of technology, and we do legal funding, and we have some clients who utilize the AI-based technology and applications, and those applications will tell you, if you give them the feedback of those whole case, and they will enter the case details, and they will tell you, hey, there's a 90% probability of winning this case, or there's 80% probability of winning the case. So these kind of applications helps a lot in case they will give you the similar case reference. They will give you the reference of the arguments taken place into similar case, how the judgment is taken, and then what are the points, what are the plus point, minus point. So it helps a lot. However, in reality, we arrange funding for the legal cases, and funders would like to see, yes, what is AI saying, but they always say they don't rely this 100%. They just take it as a prima facie advice note. Okay, and after that, the underwriter team of the legal experts, they review the case, they understand the case, and they look what is technology saying, what is reality, and then we take a decision whether case has a merit or not, whether to take this case to fund or not. Similarly, our arbitrators, tech expert, and lawyers are saying that they are exposed to the technology, but they are still in favor that there always human touch required, human intelligence required, over and above. So, any case studies you would like to share? Any case-specific experience you would like to share?
In which?
In your experience,
yeah,
where maybe
yes,
there was some kind of technology exposure.
Absolutely, you can read about many, and personally, there are things that were done thanks to COVID. With the problems, there's opportunities always. Yeah. And on a smaller scale, there's a platform called BARK. Yeah. And that's quite interesting, whereby you connect professionals with customers. Yeah. Whether it's plumbers, the likes of some companies were valued in millions just by connecting people remotely. And as mentioned in the orders, we were looking at A to Z to maneuver. Now there's a TomTom, Waze, and Google Maps. Yeah. So basically, this one, professionals with clients seeking legal advice. And I was doing pro bono work because my tax file was not ready till April. Nevertheless, you have quantity work, not quality, and they can forward WhatsApp the documentation where you can go through it, and once instructed, they can transfer to your business account, your legitimate retainer as advisor. And that's an amazing platform that is basically all gonna,
facilitate
and increase and become bigger and expand and naturally grow. Yeah. So it's a very interesting future for the legal, as far as the legal world is concerned. And we wait and see. Okay. So it's promising.
Good.
I think for me, just obviously focusing on probably on arbitration is, look, you can, a lot of clients now, not clients or people in the market, they'll, I met a guy at a networking event. I'll give you the story first, and then I'll give you the stock answer if you like. So at the networking event, he was like, you know what, Rob, I can just go on go on ChatGTP and ask for all the cases in a certain area of law. I was like, absolutely, of course, because previously he might have instructed a lawyer to give advice, a legal advice note on a specific area of law, say, I don't know, disclosure or production of documents, as it's called in the UAE or in DIFC. So, and it obviously got all the case law, and I said, you can, and that's fine. And I'm sure, you'll get a sort of a good flavor, but ultimately it's accuracy. I think the key is the concern will be accuracy and understanding, how that's played out in the court system as well. So I think certainly, there is scope and it is of assistance, and certainly it will give you a good tool, guidance tool, but ultimately it's risk and it's cost as well. So it's how much you want to risk a big decision based on an AI tool. I think that's very important.
Can I add something, Rob, to that?
Yeah,
Actually, that kind of rings a bell with the billable time. And this is something, a big factor that is very important. And as solicitors, barristers, lawyers, legal advisors, etc., you want to get paid more.
True.
And now to go through documentations as a team, paralegals, etc., per hourly rate, that's like in mediation, per hourly rate, in arbitration, more a percentage of the word. So now a technology who can go through all this PDF and give advice in few hours, so there are going to be many unemployed legal
Absolutely.
personnel. And,
Absolutely.
this is
I
a-
have,
you know, I have many
even in
stories.
my experience, I've seen that, let's say, medium class law firms who are more of doing contracts and documentation agreements, they are finding themselves difficult to survive. Why? Because this technology is doing 80% of this job. And believe me, I have seen so many clients who would like to get this job done through a lawyer, a law firm, and they say, look, we already have 80% of material which we would like to have through chat GPT or whatever AI based. And then what you gonna do as a lawyer? You're gonna do 20%. So they are ready to pay you only 20%.
I think that's
However,
and more jobs are being created.
in reality, they don't know that every time we do an analysis or the feedback from the chat GPT, at the last lines itself always say that you should take advice from the proper legal advisor or lawyer. This is just so AI doesn't think. It's a collection of data, intelligent data, of course. It will help, but it is going to give you a data based analysis. Okay, but they don't think if every case is different.
I think as well with that is, and we all know there's different types of firms. There's your magic circle firms, is your SME sort of medium-sized firms, and someone like use an example, Clifford Chance, for example.
Yeah.
They will have their own template document. They will have their own standard contracts for different things. Now, and you're right, clients will certainly be more savvy, and obviously it's all about cost. Most cost is an issue, and they will do that. They will provide now a document which is there or thereabouts, and say, look, as you've said, I'm nearly there with it. Just why am I paying this? I should be only paying 20%. But what they don't realise is that when the lawyers get it, their lawyers certainly I've seen previously, and when I've been supervising, I'm a partner now, but in previous supervisors, they would completely redraft it to their style.
That's the requirement.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. So we've all been there, I'm sure, where you draft an email, and then you think, you know what, actually, this email it's okay, but then your supervisor will be like, no, do it this way, and there'll be or at the time you'll think, okay, but there'll be a reason for that, So I think what will be interesting to see is how the technology advances in terms of whether there will be like a general stock NDA, because presumably the more and more drafts and the more and more information which is put into an AI system will mean that you've got so many different permutations that ultimately it's got to reach a precipice, hasn't it? It's got to reach a point where how many more NDAs can you put in the software?
Absolutely. Tipping the balance, and that's also a challenge for so many law firms now with this new technologies and making many employees redundant. BT, we don't want to talk about other industries. Again, me personally, I passed through some difficulties, and I was reading some quotes from Socrates, who didn't write. The student Plato did, and Aristotle, similar to other Eastern philosophers, Confucius and Lao Tzu, who Plato was more whatever. So he accepted an error, a problem in the system that works absolutely fine for everybody, and not to challenge it and make a fuss. So he accepted it on himself rather than going and challenge it. Challenge it something which works absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So, mentioning this, the courts, for example, the court system is loaded. So that's why encouraging ADR is a very important thing.
I think, sorry, just what's my brain. Look, the challenge humans, because we're all on about AI, the challenge humans are going to have is they've got to still add value. Yeah? That's it. It's that simple. If AI can produce something which is pretty damn good, humans have to add value. Otherwise, they're not going to pay. Who's going to pay for it? If you're not adding value, if the AI does what it needs to do, it does what it says on the tin, why would a client pay for it? So I think ultimately it'll be a survival of the fittest tactic where people have to be more creative. I think humans add value 100% through relationships. AI still, and it might do in the future, but they cannot generate relationships. They just can't do it. They cannot build rapport, and they cannot build trust in terms of listening to client requirements, kind of. Look, ultimately that might change, but at the moment I think the relationships and the importance of those relationships is where lawyers really need to focus as opposed to the technical, because I think the technical stuff is moving on.
Yeah. I'll give you another reference that last month I was invited by Microsoft, and they are also developing a lot of applications in legal world and making a good progress. And there was a similar discussion about opportunities, challenges of adapting the legal technology in the legal area. So what we have been taught there is that everyone is using legal technology. They are much ahead of the rest of the lawyers in competition. Lawyers or law firm who are not using the latest technology, whether AI, blockchain, they will left behind with the other lawyers, because a lawyer can do 10 hours, whatever job, and AI can help you to make this 10 hours into only 1 hour or 2 hours. The other lawyers who are not using these kind of facility, they will be running behind in terms of competition. So slowly. So you have to know, you have to be on the top of the technology, what's happening. You should know what benefits they are giving, what challenges they are giving us, and then use it. And then over and above, use our human touch as a legal underwriting, legal expertise, and then come on the decision, come on the right kind of advice.
That's why collective power, collective work is needed by not just the legal officers of the court and also politicians. There was a debate whether cigarettes should be banned. Well, other substances are also damaging.
Available, which is more damaging than...
Well, we're not scientists. Or maybe, I'm not sure. So whether should politicians decide or scientists on this? Maybe hand in hand.
We can freely talk. Like cigarettes cigarettes were there, are there.
For the young generation,
now we have vapes.
It's inevitable. We can't stop the net. It's impossible.
And
if you are pessimistic or skeptical about the AI and the future of artificial intelligence, and that's something great if we look at the cup half full, not half empty.
I was last year I was in US, and there was some kind of conference there, and there US is fully matured in terms of adopting technologies, and legal sector is also matured there. So they were saying that there's too much of hype about AI and those. I mean, it is useful in any case. It is going to reduce your time, and it is giving you accuracy of data with a short span of time. But again, you need to see how it is useful in your case.
So, Kishore, rewinding back a few minutes in this conversation, so the output of any AI platform rests on two pillars. One is the quality of the trained data. What do you train it on? So when you have a chat GPT, you would train it on, of course, it'll go out like a tentacles of an octopus, picking up everything off the net. So you could have legal data, you could have something from the art schools, you could have the Reddit channels, you can have Twitter and all, right? Hence, when you use it just for legal, it's not going to differentiate that, right? Everything is indexed.
Yeah.
And hence, we use something called hallucination, right? It starts hallucinating. But in the legal field, when you have legal platforms, they are going to do training on just a specific form of data. So these are called vertical LLMs, not general LLMs. So the output first depends on what's the quality of data that you use for training. And the second very important thing is, how do you frame the question that you ask an LLM? Now that is so important that it's actually been given a term. It's called prompt engineering. Yeah.
Yes.
And there are online courses which actually teach you how do you ask the right question. So I believe these are still steps in evolution. And
So you are saying garbage in, garbage out.
or expert in, expert out.
Yeah, true. Similarly, see, as I said, US is pretty matured in terms of legal regulation, legal practice, and technology. So they use this very frequently for most of the cases. Okay, what's the probability of winning? But there are so many companies, including Microsoft, I mentioned, that they are also developing these kind of products within Middle East. We are in the Middle East, so let's take a reference. So they are also developing these kind of things. But the question is that in US, if any data, any one case data we put into the system, they can give you reference of more than 10,000 or maybe exactly relevant case, more than 100 cases, similar cases. And they will give you reference, what were the argument, and you can really generate a very quality-based opinion. 1 second, sorry.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Middle East, first of all, where is the use of precedence? Number one. Okay. Number two, how many data are available? Okay. And whatever data is available, again, there's a limitation. So it depends. My concern is that it depends which part of the world you are living, which jurisdiction, which case, and which technology. You need to be very mindful for all these things. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I also look. I think just picking up on that point. Ultimately, it depends on what you said. Basically, it depends on what input you put in and the phrase of question. Sorry, I'm just trying to pick up my line of thought again. So, if you remember, when we were in law school, a lot of lawyers here. It's not a new thing. So when we were in law school, it would be, certainly when I was like doing the LPC, it would be how you put the question into the system, which would generate the legal answer you would need in order to pass the test. So it's not a new concept, this sort of AI. You know, we've had PLC, Practical Law Company, we've had LexisNexis, we've had all these software for a long time. You know, since I was in law school, which was many moons ago now. So it's not like a new thing. Obviously, it's a vogue topic at the moment. Fair enough. AI doesn't just permeate legal, medical. I heard a really interesting comment the other day about like a psychologist, you know, because ultimately a lot of people would say for a psychologist or someone perhaps having a mental health issue, they would prefer to speak to a human. Well, this argument was completely the contrary in that actually this person wouldn't, because the AI system wouldn't judge. It was a totally neutral, objective platform, and it wouldn't sort of there was no human element. So it was because there was no subjectiveness in it, then it would give a stock answer. So they preferred that. So I think ultimately it depends on the user. I think it depends on the person. I think the older generation, dare I say, would probably be more comfortable with the human touch because they're used to that. They've grown up with that. I think the younger generation, it's hard for us because
Discovering that Robux are currencies used for a game called Roblox, not Minecraft. So this is classified as a digital currency, and children, they know much more than we do, and the young generation. So basically, it's amazing. And also, not to mention that there's so many developments of wireless, cashless. Sweden gone cashless. Singapore, I recall, there was a conference with the World Litigation Forum, and they have obviously laws, you're not allowed chewing gum, etc., but also very strict on I think 90-something% they own their own property. So it's encouraging to understand that even going paperless, the accuracy has to be so accurate when you, let's say, take for example the company's house or land registry. Land registry, if there is a mistake in the name or it's not clear, then you can't legally prove that you are the owner of this property in this city, in this country. So to go paperless, etc., has to be 100% accuracy. And there's many other things that now hash.com or even in the property market, there's also developments which are using artificial intelligence.
There's another question.
And also difficult to forge certain documents. Now it's becoming in America and China and the United Arab Emirates. They have a ministry of IE, Ministry of Artificial Intelligence. And that's great to say that. And absolutely. So to get to close to no forgery or not to get away from forging certain documents, that's also a revolution. And this is online because now you have signature, e-signature, date and this. Now it's becoming more and more with new technologies that very difficult to forge contracts, offer acceptance with no consideration.
True.
Appropriation of somebody else's property with the intention to permanently deprive and going.
Yeah, I will give another example of online hearing. One of my client, he has been involved into online hearing for his case, and what he has given me feedback is that I was under 10 online hearing and I was in the queue. And when my chance came, then even within the queue, he was able to see and listen the arguments and everything about the other case. Because here you are sitting in the queue and then you are waiting for someone else and then you are listening the others proceeding before you. I was surprised, okay, nobody can pay heed on the other's case. But what if you know other case facts? Why? Why you should know other case fact? So this is unnecessary exposure. Anyway, so I will ask again Mr. Mahesh Jaichandani to talk about, because he's expert into tax and HR system, and then maybe he can put good input about these developments.
Yeah, so it's very important to know what AI can be used for and what it cannot be used for. I think today in all our discussions, everyone was in a bit of a gray. Should we not? Yeah. We need to have clear demarcations. That AI is fantastic at this. We have to embrace it. AI in this part cannot, because there will always be a human in the loop.
Yeah.
And there will always be an expert lawyer at the end of the process. Yeah. So we need to clearly demarcate. So what is it that AI is really good at? AI is good at research. It can pick up virtually millions of documents, run through it, summarize it, compare it, create rejoinders, etc. in a matter of a few hours, if not minutes. The day is not far where we'll do it in minutes. Yeah. But obviously after that, an expert eye has to see what it has done. Yeah, you cannot assume it can just be mailed off just like that, right? The other thing it's really great at is drafting. Yeah, we have so many reams of data of past drafts in agreements, leave and license agreements, notices, appeals, responses. I'm sure we have a sufficient set of data sets to actually create those kind of drafting and research. Yeah. And of course, then it's risk assessment. So I upload a document, and it could actually point out maybe these are some important clauses that are actually missing out. Maybe you want to reconsider. So it will not do it, but it will tell you maybe you want to reconsider. You're missing out something, or what could be the compliance effects if you were not to do it, So so in summary, that's what it is. As in, we need to be very clear that AI is fantastic at this, and we have to embrace it. I mean, there is no way of turning back from here now.
True.
Yeah.
True. Rob, if you like to say about future, that where are we heading?
I think that's That's it, really. I mean, again, I think you ended that quite well. There's sort of no turning back. We're here, and we need to think about and contemplate how it's used in the future. I think for law firms, it's important that their lawyers are embracing the technology because, like you said before, the lawyers who don't then probably will be left behind. Certainly, they might lose clients because if they're sort of still charging the traditional way, then, one law firm will say, I'll charge this, which is a traditional route perhaps. And then the other law firm will say, I'll charge this, which is perhaps the AI integrated route, which might be less. So it's all about efficiency, isn't it? And adding value to the client still. I think where we will find ourselves in the future is more lawyers, especially the new generation of lawyers, so the young people who are in universities or even sort of more junior to that, they'll just grow up with AI. So they won't see it as a big deal like probably some of the more mature practitioners in the room do, because it's just normal. It's like the internet. Internet's a great example. Before the internet, people would have been like, what's, the internet, it's not going to, okay, it sounds good, but it's not going to really revolutionize things. But it did. And it did it for the better. Obviously, there's pros and cons of the internet, as we all know. But certainly, we're all using the internet, whether you like it or you don't like it. And that's it. And I think that'll be AI as well.
Here, there's another scope of training. Because technology is developing. And for example, let's say, Mr. Mahesh, are you giving training to your clients or in general that how they're going to utilize this?
Yes, we certainly are, because this is still relatively new for a lot of firms, right? So what we do is when they actually give us that phrase or that question or that query, we give 4 or 5 alternate phrases which could be more appropriate. We give suggestions and we said, is this what you are actually asking? So it's an exact science, it's not fuzzy. So that's one kind of trainings that we carry out when we actually handhold the initial clients on this matter.
Because when you talk about technologies and their implication, there are challenges, there are risks, there are benefits. So I will see training is a very essential part of it to be in line with adapting the technology. You were saying something, Joseph?
Well, I'm optimistic, I have to say. There's a few jokes, but maybe not the right time to say it.
Good discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Let me summarize that. Okay, we have a lot of technologies in place to adopt in terms of legal era, legal tech, AI, blockchain, smart contract, for utilization into the litigation and arbitration and many other proceedings in the legal area. There are so many options available. We have described in the beginning, there are challenges, there are risks, there are benefits. We need to be mindful for all of those. And there are good future to adopt this kind of technology. And that requires, of course, a right training in place. So before we close this session, I would like to, we have only few audience, but in case anyone has a question, please go ahead. Yes, please.
So, I think...
Don't stand up.
So I think...
See, indirectly, he's telling you to stand up.
See, I think you'll have made friends there. You have made friends with Mr. Mahesh Jaichandani, I guess. So I think all the discussions that's happening, I think it's quite revolving around AI. We are, of course, in the AI business, that's different. But a few of the things I quite disagree with the panel. Number one, we feel AI cannot think. And why do you think that? You said that AI cannot think. Why do you think AI cannot think? We think from our learnings of our past, which we have not been able to explain. AI can do exactly that. Yes, we need to train and give them more content to think, number one. Number two, you think that AI cannot build rapports and cannot have relation, those kind of things. So I think only thing AI or machines in the future, in the next 24 months, will not be able to do is not have empathy. All right. But if you think about rapport, about listening to person, about giving them the correct advice, I think it will be quite close. So that's one thing I slightly disagree with the panel, but absolutely a great panel, a great discussion.
Thank you. I think it's a good point, and I would like to say something on that. That what you said, AI don't think, and you are in favor of a concept that AI can also think.
No, can take.
Okay.
Can give. And
So what I'm saying, I will share my experience right now. I have a client in US. He has some patents in his name, and he wants to sue a company listed into New York Stock Exchange, saying that the company has infringed my patent. But this gentleman is a doctor, and with the advancement of AI, he spent a lot of time, whatever time he's left with, apart from doing practicing and invention about this patent. Then he spent a lot of time into AI, and he come back to me with a lot of arguments, a lot of facts. This is how it is. This is how it is. It should be like that. But when I read this and my lawyers behind, they read it, we see there's no hardly 10% relevance of what he's saying about. And we clearly say him, this is something you have done, copy paste or something. And next meeting he was laughing. He said, yeah, I got this from AI.
You're talking to a child AI. Let it grow.
So, 1 second. So, AI has been developed, and the answer of your question is there's a lot of good room to develop more to make AI its ability to think in the same line human thinks. So, we still are not reached there. This is my opinion. Floor is open. Anyone can say, anyone would like to add value on that.
Yeah, I don't think we've said it can't think, did we? Maybe we did, but I think I agree. I think empathy is probably the issue. I think I said it'll be hard to build relationships. I think
Relationship and rapport.
Yeah, it's yeah, fair. Okay.
We are very fast reaching there, but when is a question.
Yeah. So I think on building relationships, what I'm more on about the personal relationships. So obviously you're meeting a colleague, you're meeting other colleagues, you're meeting at a networking event. AI won't be able to, can't do that. How can AI build that rapport? You know, in terms of the human connection. Yeah. So, because ultimately then we might as well all be behind the screens at Christmas, at Diwali, at Ramadan, and then just speak to the computer and everyone's happy, no? So I think ultimately, for me, it's there's still a humans. AI was built for humans. It was built by humans, and in order to, I don't want to say serve humans, but do what it was built to do. Yeah, absolutely. We've said it's very good in certain areas, but ultimately, and I'd appreciate your view on this. If you think it's a be all and end all, then yeah.
I'll stand up and speak to him. No, I don't think it's be all and end all, but I just think that it is a beginning of a new age, new opportunities, new way of working. I think it's beyond our present comprehension of what we can imagine the life. It's like we are in 1998 of e-commerce, right? Lots of things have changed. We are talking of a time when there was no Uber, and now there's an Uber. So imagine a life without an Uber, etc. today. I think things are going to change dramatically. I'm not the right person to say how it is, but I welcome decisions like this. And because we are talking about a technology today so much, I think that itself is going to fuel. And please remember that we in the sense, the humanity is making this technology. It's ultimately going to benefit the human race. It's not going to not benefit the human race. I welcome these decisions, and I may have my views, but
it is supporting, and you are absolutely right. It is helping human race a lot, but the challenges and the problems, cyber security. Are we equipped to face all these problems? This is a question also.
Yes,
and then the time will take. We are also, the whole world is developing all these technologies to overcome all these things.
That's why we are discussing this, and there are certain conferences, panels, hardworking people who are
True.
dedicating their time and effort and energy and money in researching, and hopefully when teamwork, then it will be going in the right way, as mentioned.
One last sentence. I'm interrupting you. Sorry.
If we talk about what is AI, so that's also a question. Now there's AGI. Tomorrow AHI, maybe artificial higher intelligence. We're gonna
Part of development.
then
process.
we go back to supremacy of parliament, separation of law, dicey, rule of law. So now it's gonna change, and we're witnessing this change, and that's great that we are part of to witness such a revolution, so to say, so to speak.
I don't think it's what I'm going to speak right now. I don't think it's a fair comparison, but I think you will understand what I'm trying to say for the limited audience that is here. Every taxi driver in the world, when they are sitting at coffee shops, they are just discussing that robotic taxis and self-driving cars will never be possible. How will they brake at the right time? How will they know that the car is coming? Today, the lawyers are discussing how will they do this work. This comparison you need to understand. It's at a different level, but please try to understand that things are going to change. It's for us to change. So like every taxi person is worried and they're discussing about, and we are not discussing about robotaxi. We feel it's good for us. There are people who are thinking it's good for them. While lawyers may be thinking it's not good for them, like the taxi drivers think that self-driving cars are not good for us, and it's just not possible. I remember a time when a baby ran and I hit the brake. Yeah. How will computers brake? In the same way, your client in US who searched and said, "Oh, it cannot be." It's starting era, but please be open to this thought.
That's why you have amber and red together, then green. And you have trying to clutch, and whether it's
I think
manual
it goes
or electric or hybrid.
Yeah, it goes back to the internet. The internet's isn't AI the sort of next step from the internet, the big revolution. The internet was a revolution, industrial revolution, as you said, the factories, then the internet, and then AI. Internet can be used for good and bad. AI can be used for good and bad. It's how I think the concerning thing about AI is the potential. Because the good can be, I'd imagine, unbelievable. The bad can be absolutely chaotic.
We hope we answered your question, and to be more practical, not just philosophical. What's the point of medicine if it doesn't heal? Then work has to be done in practice, and to follow it with ministries, with regulation by parliament, with hard work, with the new legalists making money out of artificial intelligence, legal technology, blockchains, currency.
So what I was going to say, you're absolutely right in terms of the child scenario with the taxi drivers. But obviously, from our field, it's a rule of law. If the rule of law is not upheld because of an AI, and for example, say there's a clear injustice on a case, that's where the AI will be questioned and shattered. The trust, because it's all about trust, isn't it? So it's trust in terms of the taxi drivers, being able to do the job, and it's trust in terms of the AI being able to.
Absolutely, I think we have in between already covered the subject that adoption, non-adoption is not the question. The question is that if you are not adopting, as a lawyer or law firm, not adopting technology which is in place, you will be left behind. You will wipe out. You will be having no business within a couple of years or maybe before.
It's always the case.
So you need to adopt. Yeah. But whenever someone adopts, they have their own challenges. Training, cyber security problems, hacking problems, compliance problem, HIPAA, endless. So we can talk till tomorrow, but
we can make mistakes.
There are only few people left here, and people have to go. So anyway, it's a very good interaction. Thank you for that, and I think it's a fruitful panel, and thank you very much for all the speakers.
Thank you.
Round of applause, please.
Thank you, Mr. Kishore. Now I'd please request you to present the momentum.
Sure, thank you.
This one is
Just 1 second.
Yes. Just give me a good photograph for the session.
And thank you, panelists, for providing us with your insights. And everybody who's still been here, being a good audience, we shall see you tomorrow for day 2. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye bye.
So we can have a photo. And this is for you. And we can have a group photo. Yeah. So right. Yeah, this side is.